Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, or welcome back if you were curious on Monsters at Work. And here's the thing. So once again, in pure Joe fashion, my cables are very sensitive. My camera cable was very finicky, so when I went to go fix it, I inadvertently made my microphone sound like a bunny. So that entire video was basically unusable. So here we are again, a little bit later than usual. Plus, it gives people more time to go watch the finale to Monsters at Work, which just wrapped up. Hopefully, its first season. This will be advertised as the season 1 review until said otherwise, because yes, Monsters at Work has finally wrapped its first season. It's been a very quick 2 months, because when the show premiered, I was very excited to see this universe continue, and originally when we had done our first impressions on it, I was kind of under the impression that we would hopefully do an every episode review type ordeal for it. But since for me watching the show still week to week, I was actually pretty okay. Okay, I would have liked to talk about it, but I was more like, you know what, it's fine if we didn't do it, because it wouldn't have been that much to do. So doing the season review, which again will be non-spoiler, which will be spoiler free. However, we will only be talking about things in episode 1. Anything else is basically being untouched, just minor hints throughout. But anyway, let's get down to it. So for me, Monsters at Work, was it worth the binge? Was it worth the overall watching 2 months of new episodes each and every week? The answer is yes. I think Monsters at Work represents the potential that this the Disney Plus, because Disney Plus is still new, because when Disney Plus was announced, it was mainly to be, it's very much of a companion / on par with movies, that these shows that were going to be canon to the existing franchises that we come to know and love in the big screen can make the transition to the small screen. And especially with the big plus of bringing back the original cast, of course, obviously introducing a whole new cast to this legacy. Monsters at Work was kind of the first. Yeah, you have the MCU shows, and those have been happening for a while now. But in terms of everything beyond that, and this was the first long form content that I was very much excited for when they announced this is canon. This is after the events of Monsters Incorporated. We're picking up with that storyline. I was very excited to see where they were going to go. Not only just seeing our favorite monsters again, but as well as being introduced to this new cast of monsters that were mainly our main protagonists. Because I think the benefit about Monsters at Work was that it was not. This could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you view it. Monsters at Work is not Mike and Sully the show. It's not. They're very much a part of the show. We're continuing their story, but most of the time it's with the new characters, because not only do you have to draw in new fans, but you also have to draw in old fans. But just seeing Mike and Sully again, voiced once again by Billy Crystal and John Goodman, was an amazing feat to see. And hearing their voices fresh each and every week was so fun. I really did. The Monsters franchise does not get as much love as it should, because you have Toy Story, which has gotten 4 films, multiple spin-offs. And beyond that, you don't really get much love for everyone else. You're lucky to get maybe a sequel down the line. But now with Disney Plus, it definitely opens the door. And for telling this story, and hopefully more chapters to come in the story, I think it was very much worth the investment. I will say this, because I think for me, like, when it comes to everything, and when I review these shows, mostly the number one thing is the characters. I always talk about the characters. Like, as long as the characters have a purpose and they're entertaining to us as viewers, and we're seeing them develop, that's the main priority. There's also story, and there's also animation in this certain instant, and how it's shot, how it's paced. And I think Monsters at Work definitely succeeds in all that front, because the new characters, each one of them have their own unique personality. I loved all of them, from Tyler to Fritz to Val to Duncan to, of course, I forgot the one that looks like a. And the thing is that, in terms of animation, because like the character designs, like from what, if you're unaware of this, the original team at Pixar, because technically this is not a Pixar show. There is this is Disney Animation. Because so when you watch something with Pixar, it says Disney Point Pixar. This is just Disney. So this is not a Pixar product. It is greenlit it by Pixar. They gave the green light, like, yeah, go ahead, do the show. And they literally had a lot of support from the original team to go make the show. They even gave them a ton of concept art that for Monsters they never even used to kind of be reused for the show, which I guess in some instances you could call it lazy. But at the same time, it's like, well, these were cool ideas. They just never found a reason to the main story and either incorporated or university. So for me, that kind of like it makes sense, and I don't really mind that much. But when you were going more into the line of these new characters, like it definitely stood out a little bit more because I think the and this could just be like limitations in television animation. Like despite it being like on par with the movies, you're gonna get a little bit of a downgrade. And not to say Monsters at Work had any of those major downgrades, but I definitely did notice that the newer cast, when they're compared side by side with the older cast, it definitely stands out by a sore thumb because those old, like Mike, Sully, Cecilia, and a ton of the original character, they were made with movie animation in mind. So they had a little bit more like, oh, we can go a little bit high scale. And of course, obviously, the thing is before with previous Disney movies turned into Disney TV shows back when I was a kid, the animation definitely experienced a downgrade because there's absolutely no way you can afford movie quality animation each and every week on Toon Disney Channel, whatever channel was airing on back in the day. So you would experience that downgrade. This case they didn't. Like for example, Sully, very much his hair is a very big thing, and it's still difficult to animate from what I'm understanding because hair is difficult. But they did the best they could, and it looked pretty great. Especially there's a certain scene at the finale where it was like, I watched a comparison shot, I'm like, they did a really great job doing that. I can't say much about that, but if you know what I'm talking about, you understand what it is. Moving on to more along the lines of the characters. Our main protagonist, Tyler Tuskman, I think he's a jolly well dude. He's kind of a little bit simplistic at times, and it's the traditional, he wants this, but in reality he gets this along the way. Maybe he gets both at the end, who knows. I view him as like, I like his voice actor. I forgot what his voice actor's name was, but I think he definitely was the main focus of the show, and I liked him a lot. Like he very much drew a fine line between knowing what he wants but also realizing what he really needs. And throughout these 12 episodes, you get to see that storyline through and through, and having him going his ups and downs and his journey to become from a scarer to a jokester. Which, let's be honest, first of all, would really suck that the major you work so hard in college, and you finally get into that field straight out of college, and you find out that major basically and that field is basically becoming obsolete. That would be the worst feeling in the world. And I felt so sorry for him, but the motivation he had to continue going and to continue to adapt and figure out, because no matter what, he just wanted to be at Monsters Incorporated, and he did. And the whole journey of him doing whatever he can to still be a part of the team was amazing. And it was definitely like, again, I don't want to talk anything about spoilers, but just seeing the end from where they end up, hopefully this first season definitely paints a picture of like, there will be some interesting choices to be made for season 2, but through the storyline of everything basically wraps up to a close for him specifically, and for everyone else, like for Mike and Sully specifically. This made mostly sense on how they got from the end of Monsters Incorporated to the 1 year later epilogue in the end of the movie. This isn't a spoiler because they have confirmed, because obviously this is the first canonical thing that's coming out post Monsters Incorporated. Like people are gonna ask, is Boo in the show? Does she make an appearance? No, they don't. They reference her. I was actually going into this show thinking like they're just not gonna reference Boo that much at all, and they didn't. They mentioned her the fair appropriate amount where it made sense. But if you're going into this show with the expectation of we're gonna see a Boo episode, at least with this season, she's not, and it works in better because I think this show serves fans enough to like get to see these characters again after, even some characters even after 20 years. But then also you get to see these new characters kind of have this new story in this new world, and you're really getting to see the ramifications from the movie. And I think that literally makes it better than just having it be, oh, how did Sully and Boo reunited. How was that reaction? We could possibly get that down the line, whether it's in this show or in a movie. Who knows? The vast possibilities for Disney Plus and Disney right now are limitless. But overall, for me, I think the thing you have to also keep in mind when it comes to these sort of shows, and again, this can be a little bit of a nitpick. The thing is that they still haven't quite mastered it yet. I still think you get your fair amount of filler. There was like this one episode towards the end, thankfully, so it wasn't like terribly bad, where it kind of felt like a filler episode. It didn't really feel substantial to the plot that much. I mean, it did in its own way, but it really didn't keep everything going as what was originally to be expected. And it could just very much as a, you have this, like, you don't want it to feel like a TV show, but at the same time, it is a TV show. We're in this new era where people want less. And episode counts are getting less. You don't have to produce more than 20 episodes for a show anymore. You don't have to do that. You could just tell the exact amount you want to tell. 12 seems to be like this weird number with Disney Plus now. Like, it's not 13. They don't want to do 13. 12 seems like the right amount to, like, we could just tell the story up to here, which is fine with me. It's symmetrical. It's even. It's perfect. But at the same time, like, I feel like you could have cut out a couple more episodes just to focus more on the animation, on just telling a tighter story. Even though I've said before, like, there are certain shows where I would love some more filler episodes, like My Hero Academia, because I just love it to death. I think just seeing these characters again after so long, 2013 wasn't that long, and that was when Monsters University came out. And also, shout out to them. They actually reference Monsters University, because when it came to MU, not many people gave it that much love as MI. And even though MU technically did make more money than MI, they still think that Monsters University wasn't as critically acclaimed as the first one, which obviously you're not gonna. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell a emotional college story with monsters who we've seen before in a different light. It's kind of hard to backtrack on that and to kind of like figure out the right story angle to take it. And what I would give them more as a credit to is that they just did not shy away from it. They did everything they could to, like, connect. No, both films. This film matters too. Obviously, Incorporated matters. This is where things are going from here. And I was actually surprised of certain reappearances, is what they say, because with these Disney Plus shows and with these, like, this new era television, when it comes to, like, pseudo revivals, you never know who's going to come through. And there was a couple of characters in the show. I'm like, damn, I wasn't expecting you to come back. So I was like, that's a little tease. Who comes back? You're just gonna have to wait and see. I will say another criticism I did have in terms of just characters that just pop in is that there's this one character, you literally see him in the promos. It's Blue Mike Wazowski, Gary, played by Fluffy, the comedian. Which I love Fluffy. He's an amazing comedian. I love his stand-up material, and obviously Hispanic representation over here, but I was just not a big fan of, like, Mike Wazowski's biggest rival was literally the blue version of him. Like, that felt like that was probably the most easiest character design. Like, here's Mike Wazowski, just paint him blue. That's basically it. We call him Gary. Let's not even give him a last name. I would have always been like Gary Leblaski, but no, they didn't even do that. They just called him Gary, and I'm just thinking, man, that was a missed opportunity there. That really was. But it was not. But the problem was, again, this is like the one iffy thing is, like, when you add to the mythos to an existing franchise, you have to be very careful on what you add in there, because we never even got a measure to a rival in the movies. So it's like, okay, is this really necessarily, like, we don't even know where he came from. He just happens to still be working at MI, and that was like a little bit of like an eye batting. Like, the scenes were funny. I'll give it that. I definitely did like his character. At the end, I just didn't like how he came out at the end, in my opinion. Again, it's not trying to be a total negative, but I'm just saying along the line of that. That was my only criticism. But another criticism I did have with the season. But through and through, I really can't name that much beyond that, because this show does what it needs to do. It came out, it continued the story of the Monsters world, filled in some gaps, brought back our favorite characters, introduced some new ones, and hopefully we'll get to see these guys in a season 2 down the line, hopefully. I would love it. Plus, Henry Winkler, man. It's got a great voice. This was actually my first time I've seen Henry Winkler in anything professionally, so I was like, this man he just seems like a chill guy to hang out with. He really does. I would love to chill with him. Maybe drink some iced tea, just, talk about life and, I don't know where that's coming from. I think that's going to be my cue to wrap it up. So for me, I would highly recommend Monsters at Work Season 1. It's available all on Disney Plus right now. So if you love Monsters Incorporated, if you love Monsters University, you still haven't seen it, this show is for you. I can't say much about it more beyond because of spoilers, but I'll just tell you these, was it 5 hours? 5 and 6 hours around there. It's worth your time. It's worth the energy. And I would very much love to do a entire Monsters franchise rewatch at some point in the future with all 3 installments now. So I can't wait for that day. Not anytime soon. I got a lot of other shows to talk about and review. I think I'm going to do it for me, everyone, today. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing the first season of Monsters at Work, spoiler-free. If you want to know what we're doing normally on What's the Two besides our one-off season reviews, we're currently doing every Heels episode review each and every Monday morning after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on Stars. We're also doing DC Stargirl Season 2 episode reviews each and every Wednesday morning after a brand new episode on Tuesday nights on the CW or free the next day on the CW app. We would normally be doing a third show for review, but we're currently taking a little buffer time to get there. It doesn't start to the end of September. We're going to be doing every Doom Patrol Season 3 episode review starting on the 24th. How that's going to be released, I'll stay for a little bit later because we're doing there's 3 episodes coming out at launch. So we'll talk about that then later. But if you don't care about Monsters at Work, check out the first impressions. It was mainly an episode 1 review. If you want to hear me talk a little bit more on depth on that with spoilers. Otherwise, hopefully you'll stick around. I'm hoping. But if you don't, but again, this has been What's in the Two from ActionX. Please subscribe to ActionX on youtube.com/ActionXvids. Or videos. Yeah, videos. Sorry. My bad there. Like, favorite, share of this review if you want to, but it helps us get it out there to other people who yet to discover us. It helps us beat up that YouTube algorithm that hates me ever so much, and as well as sharing it for free here on the interwebs. Ring that bell for notification when our next video is live, as well as follow us on social media, including Twitter and Instagram. And I'll see you all hopefully sometime down the road. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.